Hey there, Michael with Dog Drone Services. We're doing our weekly coaching calls. You can join those coaching calls by following the link in the pinned comment below. We do these weekly, and the first 30 minutes of these will be available on YouTube. Anything after that will only be available on the school page. Thanks for taking a look. If something you like, go ahead and subscribe. Give us a like, comment, all the stuff. Thanks. Have a great day.
Hey, Michael,
Yeah.
you saw that I posted my brochure and some people noticed the MEP scan or what do they call it, model on my brochure.
Yep.
So now people are noticing that. I hope that was okay. Like I didn't even think people were gonna respond to that much, but
No,
I'm
it's all good, man. I was hoping to see Johnny here this morning, um, but yeah, no,
oh, is
yeah,
it because of sorry, go ahead.
no, no. I looked at that, and now you've got me going down that rabbit hole. It's like I need to do that. I get a bunch of those printed up, throw them in my truck because that's not something I've thought about it, but I just haven't got around to it. And with the video project that I'm on right now, which is taking up the majority of my time. And next Thursday, I've got to have a rough draft done, which shouldn't be that big of an issue. And then it'll just be a matter of color grading and adding some titles and stuff after that's over. So that'll free up some of my time. But that is one of the things that I want to get done, even though I'm only looking at what 6 more months here in Colorado. Um, it would help. So like
Yeah,
that.
and I have to say the lady I worked with, she's out of Florida. She's been great. Like I said, I posted in there. The first lady, I said, well, she said her price, and then she gave me a price way more. I'm like, wait a minute, why is it way more? Well, if you want it all custom designed, I'm like, wait a minute. And I reached out to Lauren, and I paid $220 for the design of that. And but taxes and fiber fee, it was 246. And I just gave her text and images, and she came up with everything, and I'm like, I love it. And I'm like, okay, this is great. Move this a little bit, change that word. Or when you finally see it on paper, you're like, oh, wait a minute, I got to change this, right? It doesn't look good, or I'm repeating myself in the text. And
Yes, that's why we do proofs first, so that we can see
yeah,
those and catch them.
but
So,
I did the final proof, and I freaking still missed something.
oh, it's
And
it's
I'm
I'm
like,
d-
and she's like, don't worry about it. Here, 2 minutes later, she sent me the change.
yeah,
And
that's it's one of those things. It's like when I thank goodness for the undo send on emails, because I'll type an email and I'll look at it and I'll hit send. It's like, oh crap, and then undo because proofreading is not my strength. I'll just get
no,
I'll just get a flow going and I'll just start typing and it's off to the races. And then it's like, okay, send. And it's like, oh crap, wait, did I say undo? And I've actually got with my email service, I've actually have a full 2 minutes to undo. So
oh, that's good.
that's been a great blessing for me that I'm able to go, wait, let me proofread that and so or get the wife's input because she's really good at that.
You
But
know,
yeah,
I have like Office 365 now that is not like the same version you have when you work for a company. So it used to be email had it too. Now I have to copy the text into a Word document. And under review, there's an option called read out loud. And
yep.
I do that. And when I hear it, I can pick up things that when I'm reading, I don't see.
That's one of the things that I picked up from my wife. She says when you're proofreading these things, read them out loud. Don't just
Yep.
read them in your
Yep.
head like we normally do. Just read them out loud. I've had really good luck with Grammarly.
Yes.
I
I
pay
have.
for I pay for Grammarly. I pay for Grammarly actually for my daughter. Um, she, she's going to be a nurse and she can't spell, which I don't think there's a correlation between the two, but she always has problems with spelling and whatnot. So we've had that for a couple of years, and now with their AI, it's come a long way, and
Yeah.
yeah, it makes writing so much easier, you know. And
By the
it's
way, as a sorry, I just saw something I needed to ask you real quick. Is somebody at home tomorrow at your house between 1 and 3?
oh, it was you. Okay, it was you.
Why? Did you get a notification?
No, Al. I'm assuming you reached out to Al,
Al who?
yeah, to get my address. And what I told, because he asked me if it was cool if I gave gave my address to somebody from the board. He said it's somebody that we both know and trust. And I said, dude, my address is on my website.
Yeah, that's
I
what he said.
it's like, yeah, so go ahead. So yeah, I'll probably be there because I'll be working on this video project tomorrow. I've got to run down to Castle Rock to a job site and pick up some parking stops, the big concrete blocks that you put in front of
Oh
parking
yeah, yeah.
spots. We had some left over on a job site and I donated them to the church because they were going to
Well,
throw
that
away.
worked.
Yeah, it's like, no, no, no. You were going to throw those away? No, no, I have indeed. I'll pick them up on Saturday. So
No, because
I,
I ordered something for myself from the same place, and it says, "Oh, signature required." I'm like, "What? Signature required? Oh, darn it! I got to make sure you're home."
the only thing
For
that
some
I
reason,
sign, the only thing that I have to ever sign for is alcohol and ammunition. So
you have to sign for ammunition. I know.
what? How do you get away with that?
I don't know. The places. One of the places I order from, it will say, signature required. And I just take it off. I'm like, no, I
Oh,
don't. And my UPS driver, he and I know each other so well that he'll
yeah,
sign for me if I'm not
yeah,
home.
yeah. It's gotten to that point too. It's like with the alcohol and stuff because I've got and we were way off track this morning, but that's okay. Um,
Yeah, maybe the AI knows here. Maybe look correct.
yeah. Um, when I get my wine shipments, I just have them sent to work because that way somebody's always here that can sign
Yeah.
for them. My daughter's not old enough because she's homeschooled, but she's not 21 yet. So, but no. So I was. Did you see that? So I posted that video in videos to watch. I believe that's where I posted it. Let
I
me check.
watched already half of it. It was a
The-
very interesting discussion, yes.
Is
Guy
it?
knows a lot.
Yeah, it's crazy how much he knows, and that's the name of that video. Oh, best practices in drone survey. Is that the one that you saw? Yeah, dude, that
You
is.
posted it earlier, right? Or you mentioned it on the
Yeah, I
community
mentioned
board.
I
Okay.
mentioned it on the call last week, and then I went ahead and posted it up because I said I'd post it in the notes for this video, and I didn't. So I just went ahead and posted it in the videos worth your time, and
Yeah, yeah.
that is the way that he talked to, and we're going back down the same rabbit hole we were down last week. The way that he talked about, setting your base up on site and not worrying about anything other than that it's set up and it's casting its data. And I want to backtrack and make a correction of something I said last week. Um, you're not getting corrections in that case, or you're getting raw data from your base unit sent to your drone without corrections. I said that your base was sending
Hmm.
corrections to your drone, and it's actually not. It's just sending the raw data to your drone uncorrected from an N-trip because you're not connected to the outside. So, and then you would go in and apply a base shift or whatever it's called. You get your point because you want to leave. You want a rapid static position is 15 minutes to 2 hours, and you're at a minimum. And if you get in the habit like I am, first thing I do is I set up my base station. You know, and then I'll go through my targets out, I'll fly my mission, and then I'll come back and then I'll go shoot my points. So that base station is collecting data from the time that I get on site
Hmm.
to the time that I've gotten all my targets laid out. So like on that 50 acre, 40 acre, 47 acre, I think it was total site that I did down in Kiowa 2 weeks ago, set the base station up, go through all my targets, come back, fly the drone, and the setting up the targets was at least 45 minutes because there was a whole lot of walking involved. Um, Actually, that's not true. There's a whole lot of driving involved because I just drove around from point to point because I'm too old to walk. That's a lot of work,
Well, it takes
especially
time.
it
It
does,
does.
especially on a site that's that size and the topography of it was not conducive to a nice leisurely walk. There was a lot of undulation in the terrain, and up and down, around the corner, and over hill and over dale that I really didn't want to walk it. So I just drove the truck around. But yeah, by the time you get all those laid out and then back and fly your mission, yeah, you've got enough data where you can do a rapid static and get that actual point, and then you send that data through and PPK it, and everything's golden. So I know
Yeah.
you're not there with the Emlid yet, right? You're
No, what
okay,
I just did, I did get my RTK. Right, I
right?
posted one how I got it from China for
Yeah, that's
$248.
yeah. I looked at him. The link that you posted, I think it was on DLC or was it
Yeah, on
on?
DLC.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of people selling it, or not a bunch, but there's a few people selling it at various price points. And while I was in there looking at that, there's a company called Singular. I think it's Singular XYZ, maybe. Um, so they do this. All they do is survey equipment. They're obviously a Chinese company, but the prices are better than AMLID. Now AMLID's got that section of the market. We all know the name, all that.
Yep.
They make good stuff. And I got a phone call from a company yesterday that I talked to last February at Geo Week about their software. And when I talked to him at that point, I said, "Look, I'm looking at getting into the Emlet ecosystem. If that changes, I'll let you know." But I wish I could remember the name software. It's a decent software, and it works for what I needed it to do. But the point I'm getting to is that the Emlet ecosystem is just so well thought out, and they are really responsive to if you have a problem or if there's a function that the software is lacking that you're coming from, whether it's Trimble or Leica or somebody else, and you're using the old school data collectors. They're not old school. I mean, they're current tech, but uh, Emlyn makes it so easy because this is your data collector, um, and it with the Flow 360 Flow, which is what you use on your desktop, the Flow app. It all syncs across everything, and it's seamless, and it is a really tight platform, which is awesome. However, like I said, there's a company, I think it's called Singular XYZ, and the only place that I can find them, you ready for this, is on Amazon. And you can buy, wait for it, you can buy the entire system, the base unit or the GNSS receiver, the data collector. It's basically an Android device, so it's still phone based, more or less. Um, the bipod, the tripod, I think it was the bipod, but you can buy the tripod, everything for the price of an MLID RS3. And then so the MLID has the RX, which is their small unit that's N trip only, which is fine because you're working. If you got, actually, I don't know how that would work. It would have to work. No, it's not going to. I don't know. That's a rabbit hole I got to go down. If you don't have cell phone service, you can set up an N trip network with your base unit to cast corrections, but that's over Wi-Fi. Problem there is Wi-Fi distance. You couldn't. I don't think you could get. I don't know. That's something I look at, but you could use the RX with the base unit's N-trip network. If you have cellular, of course, it's easy to do that. I think the cellular denied spaces or where you don't have cell service, that's going to be a problem. I'm getting to the point. I do
I
this a
know.
lot.
Listen, I'm learning.
So they sell a unit similar to the RX, Emlett's RX, and it's N trip only, and it's 998. And if you spend an extra $200, I think or $300, you get it with the IMU. Which, have I ever used the tilt compensation on my Emlid? Guess I have. But do I think it's necessary? No, I don't. Yeah, maybe. I'm still working that out. But the point is that it's not so much cheaper. It is a, a cheaper a
option.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It's a
Well,
cheaper option
here's
than
a
if it
thought.
works.
Here's a thought I have, because I thought about this a couple times, and I've even think posted one time. Here's a unit, right? Let's say so it's about what, $2,500?
Yes, you can pick up an RS2 Plus for
Hold on one second.
24.
Fahrenheit. Oh no, that's nothing. Come on, stop. There we go. That Singularity XYZ. How much was that as a total kit?
I think it was 20, 25, 27, something
Yeah,
like
so
that.
let's say this way. Sometimes I'm like, what if we find a bunch of guys, right? And we say, let's group together and buy that kit. We send it to you because you actually know how the stuff all works, and then your quote fee is free time. No, but I'm like,
Yeah.
why don't we? Why don't we buy a set if people live relatively close together or something, right? Instead of everybody buying their own kit, how often will we use it? And we could then try one of these out, see if it works. Everybody, let's say, pays 10%, right? If we find 10 guys and say, okay, we're going to try this out, and we write a procedure that says, this is how you use this model, this version, this thing. And for when it's necessary, we can ship it around to each other instead of
Right. So looking at that, just something that's okay. The shipping is that's a great idea. Um, and I think though the the expense of the shipping is going to be the survey rod and probably the bipod because they are big and awkward.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but I mean, as far as just shipping the head unit around, that would be easy. And I'm looking for that right now as far as what the cost of that was.
Because
Actually,
you could even think like, okay, let's say I have a couple of people, you split it kind of like east west or something, right? Because if you constantly have to ship west and then ship back east, but let's say you do everything here like in the mid Atlantic or in the center of the country and then the west, right? Where you have a couple of guys just working together. And if at one time you're like, hey, wait a minute, we need more. What if with a group of people you buy a second unit? Everybody pays a smaller price and becomes part owner of. And if at one moment she says, hey, you know what? I'm doing so many of these jobs now, it's time for me to buy my own unit, right? Buy me out, or I'll keep my part in there, right? It's like part of like we need to use the strength of the community.
right. It's yeah, it's not singularity, it's singular XYZ, and they sell. Let me get on their page because the one that I'm looking at right now is two head units, a bipod pole or survey pole, tripod, data collector case, and it's got two head units for 3680. But let me jump on their page. And here's the great thing with Amazon. I mean, I could just buy this and see if it works, and then if it doesn't, just send it back. So they have I, I don't know if I can show.
Yeah, I'm
No,
looking at their website too, where
yeah,
the little round, they look more like garage door openers, like a rounder
yes.
shape.
So with the E1 GNS IMU RTK GPS survey equipment rover receiver kit, it's 1685. That's not the one that I saw that's got a tri-brack on it. That's 27. And that's got two head units. But yeah, the stuff, I mean, for okay, so the just a simple head unit that's similar to the RX, it's the singular XYZ Sophria 1 GNSS. Yeah. It's 980 bucks. And my question, my I know that I'd have to look that. I'm going to do some more research on this because my question is, can I use Emlyn? Because the data is going to be the data. That's but the software in the units, as far as like staking out
It
and
could send it
whatnot.
in a different kind, slightly different format, or has some.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I like the fact that I can go into like 360 flow and lay out my points because I've got the data from my engineer, or I've got a known point on site that I've pulled up off of NGS maps, and I can enter that into flow. And then when I get on site, I just walk right to it because I've got my unit and it's going to direct me as if I was staking it out. But I wonder if that would work in that ecosystem, or is it good? I think I'm just going to spend the money as soon as I have the money.
How about give him
Um,
a call? Give him a call. It's like, hey, I noticed your unit. Help me understand how all of your stuff works with the rest of the world, right?
yeah, you know what?
You can
Actually, where
talk
I'm going to,
talk to sales. Just talk to a sales guy, and you know that you have you have the background and the understanding to have a good conversation, right?
right. And but what I'm thinking is that I'm gonna go down the Reddit rabbit hole on the survey and the UAV mapping. And if you're not plugged into either one of those Reddits, it's someplace to get. There's a guy, and I think I mentioned him last week. He goes by the name of Elf Trooper. Dude, his information is always just spot on, and he is amazingly helpful, and he knows his stuff, and he's in the space that I'm in. And it's when I have questions that I can't, I've gone down the rabbit hole and I'm still not getting a straight answer. I'll send him a message on Reddit and say, hey, this is what I'm up against. And he's always been amazingly helpful. Um, he doesn't have much of a social media presence because this isn't his gig, because I've asked him about that. But he is very active in the UAV mapping space on Reddit. So,
Yeah,
but
and
that's it.
it's I've been watching videos, especially videos like just to trying to get that understanding of what the workflow is. So I gotta look it up. His name again. There's one. The guy's like a 2.5 hour video where he shows every step, right? So it's starting to sink in. It's starting to figure out. So now that I have the RTK unit, I think what I can do, because this is kind of like how I'm building it up in my mind, is I go with the RTK unit on, and then on my controller, and we're using my cell phone as the hotspot. I can log into one of the public entrance
Enter.
systems.
Yep.
And I was just looking at it last night. There is the, what is it? About, I just saved it in my where is it? My links. Oh, here we go. Point one
Point
nav
one
is a
nav.
company,
Yep.
right? But it's like what, $42 a month or something.
Yep. I've
And
used them. I've used them in the past. They've got good coverage. Um, the other one is you can look at is Rock Base Network or Rock Network. Just search Rock Base, not Rock Base, Rock
yeah,
Robotics, and
I
theirs is
was looking at it. Is that the
theirs is
public one?
so it's $40 a month. Yes, it's similar to Point One Nav, um, and they've got really good coverage on the East Coast. So that's so you're gonna go to. I know you're
So
looking up,
Rock Base.
or so search Rock Robotics.
There we go. Home Rock Robotics.
And then in their menu, you're going to look for, I think it's Rock Network. I
Mm,
cannot spell this morning. Body. Um, Services, Rock Cloud. Okay, so you're going to,
Okay, I saw that. Yeah.
yep. And then when you get into the Rock Cloud, there's going to be, if you just scroll down, it's going to talk about the Rock RTK network. And that's what I was using. And it's what I'm still using um, when I can. But you can see they've got a fair amount of units on the East Coast. So you're gonna have to create an account. They give you a free account, and then you can see where all their base units are. And then if you want to sign up for it, it's $40 a month. And like I said, they've got pretty good coverage. on the East Coast.
It shows the map here, but I can't seem to be able to go into it or something. Let's see. No, that's not what I wanted to do. And I was reading about this one. Let's see. I was reading about it last night. Oh, RTK to go, which
Yep, it's
I
totally
understand.
free.
Yeah, I understand. Well, so as a test, right? As just a practice, I wanted to say, okay, I'll hook up to that. So I was reading about it last night, and I'm not quite understanding all the steps here because there seems to be like how to connect and how to get your IP banned. I'm like, is that a good thing? Doesn't
No,
sound like a
not
good thing.
so. If you go to cloud.rockrobotic.com,
Okay, cloud, rock robotic.
yep. And then on the left-hand side of the page, when that populates, you'll see Rock Network.
Is
That'll
it
bring up,
is it cloud dot rock?
yep, it's
Okay,
cloud.rockrobotic.com.
okay. Now I forgot a dot there. There we go. Yeah,
And then
welcome to the cloud.
yep. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see Rock Network map. And then you can zoom in to your area and see what kind of coverage you have.
Yeah. Let's see.
So,
Around Baltimore, there's a lot. I don't know how far it goes, but because there's the whole part about how far away you are
yep.
from your
So
source, right?
my limit is 20 kilometers. Um, Now if you go watch Indiana Jones videos, he claims he's getting good data out to 60 kilometers. Just that may be
It all depends on the land, right?
yeah, exactly.
Landscape.
But 20 kilometers is my limit. And that's just been my experience. Even I've got that job or up in Severance, I did that job and I was 22 kilometers. Like, nope, I'll do this the hard way. I'll create my own known point and use that just because it was like that 2 kilometers may be enough to put me over my accuracy limit that I strive for. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's
it's 40.
interesting because it shows a point here, which I had found before on another N-Trip site, and it was a different company, but they must be using all like the same tower or something. Or
So the way, so Rock Robotics is a dealer,
hmm
or write this down, GODNet, um, who provides the base stations.
okay,
If you, yeah, how is it? Yeah, it's godnet.com. So they provide the base, they are they sell the base stations, or they're not the they make the base stations. Rock Robotics is one of their dealers.
got it.
There's a quite a few here in the States that sell their hardware. And with that, when you buy the hardware, you can get the service free, depending on, like, if you buy it through Rock Robotics, it's $700 for the unit, and then you've got free corrections. Or you buy the unit through Rock Robotic and you don't get corrections, but then you're in crypto, but that's a whole nother animal. But there's another company here in the States that sells their units, and they, even though you have the unit that you bought from them, they still charge $40 a month for it. So it's like, the Rock Robotics is the best place to go that I've found if you're gonna looking to buy the unit. So
Yes.
hey,
Hey, Chad.
look what's
Hello.
cat drug in.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the option that I use, but I use it through GODNet now. Um, and I think I don't know what they charge. I get mine free
$40
through.
a month or 400 a year. I just saw.
So yeah, that's the other option. I get my corrections free. Al has a unit, so there's that. We don't need to go any further on the recording on that. And then through the survey school, as part of the gamification, I've reached the level where I get free corrections from GeoDNet. So that saves me $40 a month, as well as the Terra subscription, which they also provide, which if you break that down over the cost of a year is like 165 a month. So
DJI
yeah,
Terra.
yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, and
You
it's
talking
kind
about
of
Intrip?
like